So the next phase of gardening, we got 2 yards of compost this morning that I'm gonna mix into my garden beds. I wanted to make sure I had plenty, so I got 2 yards of that. And I actually picked up this nice little garden cart at an estate sale not that far down the road from us. $10. I've been wanting one, so I'm using that to move some of this compost into these beds. I've slowly started to rake it out, and I'm going to use my garden tiller to mix everything up. I have an electric Sunjo garden tiller that I got a couple of years ago. I love it. So I'm going to use that once I get this all situated, and it looks like I'm going to have more than sufficient compost. So I'll probably use some leftover stuff for some stuff that's in the greenhouse that's probably going to stay in the greenhouse. But that's what I got done today. Nearing the end of my vacation, boo-hoo. But it's been a great vacation. I've gotten a lot done and had a lot of fun playing in my garden. So today, back to work. But what's the old saying? If you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. So I love what I'm doing right now with this garden. So I'm having a lot of fun. Stay tuned. As you can see, the Doberman is still growing. She comes in here because she knows there are puppy treats in here. Oh, baby. Easy. Good girl. Alright. Come on, Maddie. It's hot in here. So I just wanted to give a quick update on everything that's growing in here. It is really hot in here. Whew. It's about... The outside temperature here today is probably in the low 80s. And you can definitely feel it in here, the humidity. But, with that being said, everything loves it. Those big tall ones that you're looking at here, those are my different types of tomatoes and flowers. I planted some sweet peppers and some other flowers that aren't coming up just yet. But that was pretty recent, so I'm not expecting too much. More tomatoes, some broccoli in there, some peppers. There's Brussels sprouts somewhere. I think they're in the back. Winter squash, summer squash over here. Is that a squash? Yeah, that's a squash. More squash over here. Some cosmos popping up down here. This is stuff I have to transplant. I've got some more tomatoes and some peppers. Winter squash down there, and I don't remember what else is in there. It's written on the side of the little container, but I can't remember what it was. And then out here, this is all the lettuce that I've got growing. I'm actually really surprised because I thought the lettuce wouldn't really like the humidity as much. I always thought it would like the cooler temperatures, but it seems to be doing really well. So I'm very happy with that. One's a salad mix. The other one is a black-seeded Simpson lettuce, and the other I think is, I can't remember what kind of spinach it was. It was in one of my other videos. I don't remember. I've got some black-eyed Susans, mums. Over here I've got some marigolds, some basil, some thyme, some more squash. Shane's little green bean. It looks so good. It likes it in here. It's got little flowers on it, so it's doing very well. More tomatoes over here. I seriously don't know what I'm going to do with all these tomatoes. I planted so many because I really didn't know what was going to take, and I'm still kind of learning this whole planting from seeds thing, so sometimes I plant stuff and it starts to grow and then it dies. So I kind of wanted to plant almost like, I guess you could kind of call it like a bumper crop, so in case the earlier ones didn't take, that I'd have some others that hopefully would. And with this greenhouse, everything is taking just fine, so I have an abundance of tomatoes that I don't know what I'm going to do with, but I'll figure it out. The cucumbers I planted a couple of weeks ago, those were the ones from the seeds that I said I wasn't quite sure if they were still good, so I put them in water, and those are the ones that sank, and sure enough, they came up. So I'm very happy about that. I've got some green beans here. Those are the real tall ones. Some peppers, some more green beans. I guess you can never have enough green beans, right? Again, more tomatoes. See, these are the smaller tomatoes. These are the smaller ones that I planted not knowing if those other ones that I planted first were actually going to come up. I've got a bunch of zinnia here, oregano, some cosmo flowers, some cucumbers. So that's about everything. Oh, sorry, I missed these guys down here. Parsley, some Shasta daisies, some sunflowers, some phlox starting to come up, some other kind of daisy. This little guy back here is, I think it's a summer squash. What does it say? Oh, it's a winter squash, sorry. I can't tell the difference. I don't know if anybody can. But in the back, those big ones coming up, those are sunflowers. Those are coming up really good, so I'm very happy about everything. These are my flowers on the outside. Everybody looks really good. Just some different colored stuff. So one thing I'm finding, not that it's necessarily difficult, I'm not super duper close to a water source. We do have a hose in our basement, and I have a hose, but I don't think it's long enough to reach. I actually haven't tried, but so far it's not been too bad. I just fill these little cans every day, and I fill them in the morning, I fill them in the evening when I need them. So that's what I've been using to water so far. I mean, once everything gets in the garden, the hose is much, much closer to the garden, and I'll have a sprinkler going. So for now, just because I have so much, the watering has been pretty tedious. It takes me a while to really make sure everybody's got sufficient water. And I'll fill these little smaller bottles and just use that. So I don't like to water with the cans because the water comes out at such high pressure. It's hard to control. And I really don't want to drown my little plants. So by using these smaller little bottles, I can kind of control how much is going into each of those, so nobody's getting, drowned out or anything like that. But I guess that's the one thing that I said to my husband the other day. I said that's been a lot of work, so just the watering and whatnot. But I also picked up, Shane got these for me, these little, they're actually the kind that go over like a railing. He picked those up for free. Someone was throwing them away, and he said, "Do you want these?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And oddly enough, not thinking ahead of time, they almost fit perfectly into my little thing here. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a little piece of strapping, which we had it in here somewhere. I don't know where it went. But we're actually going to nail a little piece of strapping to the inside of this, so those will sit right on it. They have a little lip on them, and like I said, I was looking at them, and I'm like, wow, those almost look like they're exactly the size of that bottom shelf. And the bottom shelf is a little bit too wide, and I figure if we put a little piece of strapping there, once these plants are gone, I can use those planter boxes maybe for garlic or for some onions, radishes, even more lettuce, flowers, whatever. Just something that doesn't really need a huge root system. And then those can grow in here, and I just thought they would look really cute as little planter boxes. I do want to get, eventually, a planter box, like a permanent one, built over here. Like using 2x6s or something like that. For, kind of the same reason, for growing late into the season, some onions, some garlic, just something like that. So I just happened to stumble across these. Like I said, Shane picked them up for me. They were someone's trash, so their trash is something that I'm going to reuse, and hopefully they'll come out good. So far, that's what I've done this week. Like I said, the big project was getting the new compost for the garden, so I will be working on that all this week and getting that turned over. So I'll continue to keep updating you on that. It's a really hot day today, lots and lots of pollen. We badly need rain, but we haven't really gotten any, so you can probably, I don't know if you can see it on my greenhouse plastic, the pollen. It needs a bath badly. But I got my work cut out for me, but I have plenty of stuff to keep me busy. So far everything's going as planned. Well, you can see the compost pile is shrinking slowly. I actually have been using some in my greenhouse for some stuff, but I put a bunch in my garden beds, and I got my tiller out and I tilled both garden beds with a little bit of the compost. I haven't finished off this bed yet, but this bed I added a bunch more bucketfuls of compost and smoothed it out. Taking advantage of it this afternoon because the wind kicked up and it's pretty breezy right now, so it's keeping the bugs away, which is definitely a bonus this time of year. I wouldn't be able to do this outside if the black flies were still out. So we're expecting some rain. There's some storms that are supposed to be coming through later, maybe some thunderstorms. So like I said, I want to take advantage of it while I can and get this going, because I do want to plant my seeds sometime this week. So I wanted to get that done. We can definitely use the rain, so I hope we get it. And I figured too that'd be nice if I could get this compost all set in place and get some nice rain on it, get everything kind of incorporated together. So that was my goal for today. So I'm going to start working on this bed now. I would have taken some footage of using my rototiller, but it's electric and it was kind of sketchy with rain coming and going, so I tried to sneak it in as quick as I could before another rain shower came through, which I luckily was able to do. So unfortunately I don't have anything on that, but you can see everything is looking good. So on to this one now. Well, I was able to get the second garden bed all set, which is actually just in the nick of time because it's actually starting to rain right now, but I got a couple more bucketfuls, smoothed this one out. Hopefully, like I said, we'll get some rain and it'll kind of settle it down, so if I need to add anything in, I still have a little bit of compost under there. Not too much, but I got 2 yards. I'm glad I did. So these beds are ready for planting. I will probably plant some seeds this week, but I'm not gonna put my plants in just yet. I'm still a little leery about the overnight temperatures being a little too low for my little delicate plants, so I'll leave those in the greenhouse for now. But let's head over to the greenhouse and I'll show you the latest in there. So here we are at the greenhouse. I was actually doing quite a bit of work in here today while it was raining outside and I couldn't use my tiller. I had a bunch of squash and cukes and tomatoes and peppers that needed to be repotted into some bigger plants. So I actually got most of this all replanted. There's still, it looks like a couple peppers, 2 green peppers and a red pepper that are still a little too small to transplant. So I'll leave those in there for now. But I got all of these in the white pots all repotted. So there's 12 more tomatoes that were growing in there that I moved over to this. And I repotted, like I said, a bunch of squash, a bunch of cucumbers. So everybody that got repotted today, I actually used the compost. So I'm sure they're going to be happy being in that. So that was what I worked on while I was waiting for the showers to pass. So I've got all kinds of stuff. Winter squash back there, some sunflowers, everything. I don't know if if you've watched any of my prior videos from week 1 when we first got this going to now, the progress on these plants, how small they were. And most of these started in my house on my kitchen table. So for these, these tomatoes look amazing. I couldn't be happier based on where they started and where they are now. All kinds of stuff. And I actually really did some organizing in here today. It's been driving me crazy that I'll have, some peppers over here, some tomatoes, and then, okay, a couple more peppers over here, and tomatoes and broccoli. So I organized a little bit today. I still have my herbs in here. So those are still a little too small to transplant, at least I think they are. The lettuce coming in nicely. Hopefully we can be enjoying that in the next couple weeks. So over here towards the back, I put my bigger green beans or string beans. Got a couple Brussels sprouts in the front. Got to give Shane's plant some love. It's doing really good. This is all tomatoes, so these flats hold 15 plants. So there's 15 tomatoes. I know, I'm a little crazy. Shane was just in here and he said, what are you going to do with all of these? And I haven't really thought about that yet. I guess I'll figure that out when the time comes. But obviously some of them are going in the garden. Some will probably stay in here for the summer. Some I might give away to people. I'm not really sure. I haven't figured it out yet. Obviously, I would love to grow them all in here, but if that's not feasible, I'll find good homes for them. But my goal is to have tons of tomatoes and make a big batch of tomato sauce in the fall. Anyways, so getting back to my organization, I've got some cucumbers over here. This is still kind of like a miscellaneous type flat, I guess you could call it. Because I have cucumbers, I have peppers, I have flowers, some tomatoes are still in there, so that's still just kind of a mishmash of everything. This one is a little mishmash of everything because the bigger pots they obviously don't fit in those, so I have to keep those in here. And then over here, this is another flat of tomatoes, so there's another 15 tomatoes that I have. This one over here is all peppers and broccoli, so I got those two put together. And again, these bigger flats are just miscellaneous stuff: parsley, winter squash, some sunflowers down here, some cukes, some zucchini, or excuse me, not zucchini, summer squash, winter squash, cucumbers. This is some more squash, and then all my tomato plants. And this is just some other miscellaneous stuff. It didn't get too warm in here today. It's been pretty overcast. It says it's about 80 in here now, and that feels about right. Like, hopefully we get that rain that's coming, because we could definitely use it. I need to get my greenhouse plastic washed off. So that was the last week or so of work that I did. Like I said, today's my last day of vacation. So I have to go back to work tomorrow. But I'll tinker around with this as much as I can. It looks like we're probably going to be working in the big garden soon, so that's very exciting. And we'll get some of these little plants into a permanent home in the ground and hopefully start seeing some vegetables. So thank you for watching. For those of you that have watched before, thank you. I appreciate it. Please click the like button. Any comments are welcome, or suggestions, or just anything. Just say hello. And like I said, I appreciate you watching my video. So questions or comments, post below. Click on that subscribe button, and I will see you next week. Take care.